Welcome to the RnBe.
Yeah. Gary. Yeah.
Yes.
Stands for Gary.
Rob and Benny experiment plus Gary.
No, it's just the RnBe experiment, Gary.
Just Gary.
Yeah.
Gary
just Gary.
edition.
Yeah.
You're a Gary edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you are very rare.
Gary.
You ever seen a shiny Pokemon spawn?
Yeah.
This is the shiny Pokemon of Gary.
Garymon, I choose you.
So today, today's topic, I thought it would be a lot of fun. For those of you guys who are joining us for the first time, this is the RnBe. It's a podcast that Rob and I host here every week. We normally talk about topics that one of us may know more about, the other one may not. We kind of educate each other, and we like to see opinions. Typically, afterwards, we go make ourselves experts on these topics, but we thought you would enjoy the initial reactions of us going, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
What? Huh?
A lot of people like to think that we know everything about comics, and anybody who's been watching the show knows that is not the truth.
Well, it kind of depends.
And
there are things that we are really knowledgeable about.
Yeah. It depends on the topic. And
hey, everybody. My name is Gary.
This is the new way. We were
I'm
sound
very
checking.
soft-spoken.
We were sound checking. Gary's mic was off at the beginning, and we were trying to make sure that we had fixed the problem. Rob said he had a feminine voice. If you think Gary has a feminine voice, down below, let us know if you think it's feminine and what his female name would be.
Why would you do that to Gary? Well, now this is going to be a comment video.
I don't think I've brought this up before with some friends. I don't think there is a feminine of Gary.
Why would that be a talking point?
No, you think like you'd be Roberta.
Roberta.
I'd be Benita.
Benita. There is no feminine for
Benita.
Gary. In fact,
Garrett?
Gary means spear in Old English, so that's pretty awesome.
You're a spear?
You have
Spear.
a man's name.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
But it's a dying name too. It actually is going extinct. Legitimately is going extinct.
How do you know that? Like, how do you know that that's the case?
There have been studies done. I didn't do the studies, but there have been studies done on the name Gary, and it is in fact going extinct slowly.
I have never studied what my own name means.
I know what my last name means.
What?
Apparently, my last name in lineage.
It means magic.
No, Potter. So apparently, my last name in my lineage, we were the beer makers for the kings back in old England days.
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty badass.
Yeah.
Literally, you come from a generation of like a line of breweries.
Yes,
that's basically what it is. We make beer.
Now, if that is incorrect, that is what they told me at Universal Studios. But
Oh, okay.
no, they actually had this really cool thing. You go to an area and they would give you your whole lineage and what your name actually means. I don't know if it was accurate,
I
but
don't
it seemed
remember that.
pretty
Where
accurate.
was that at?
This was like one of the first times I went there. I don't think they even had the feature anymore.
Damn, that sucks because I would really love to check it. I might do that. Look up what my name means.
There's a lineage.
It means fire god.
Yes.
What are you gonna do if it's like
Like bright flower.
Yeah. I don't know. Just own it.
Delicate
own
flower. I would. I'd be like, I'm delicate flower, bitch.
All right, so anyway, guys, today we're going to be discussing what is considered the worst retcons of the New 52. Now, I need to give a little explanation of this. It's 7 years old at this point. So in 2011, DC decided that they would redo their entire universe.
Yes.
Right. I didn't know that. Yeah.
The idea behind it was a fresh starting point for anybody who wanted to get into comics. We would retell all the origins. We would make everything line up. No more continuity problems.
Right.
Until there were.
There was a ton of continuity problems. That did not work like they intended. But some things to make them work, people freaked about.
Yeah.
The backlash came out of what they changed. Okay? So today, I found a list on Comic Vine because Screen Rant's website won't work. By the way, thank you everyone for telling me that is apparently a problem. Some
really?
like real big sleuths looked into the advertisers in the coding to find it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So now the question is, will Screen Rant care enough to fix it?
No.
Yeah, probably not.
So anyway, so we're at Comic Vine today for their list. I'll link it down below because actually it's a list made by one of their individuals on the forum. So I definitely want to give this guy credit.
Which I just want to say real quick, I think it's so cool that we have fans that are like that knowledgeable about like JavaScript and stuff. They can just like go through the code and figure out something like that. That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this guy made his list 5 years ago. So this is right around when New 52 was a thing.
Yeah.
And everyone was freaking out. So this is pretty accurate to fan outcry at the time.
Yeah, that's the best time to make it.
Yeah.
So his first one was that Jason Todd was trained by monks.
Yeah.
Okay? So In Jason Todd's original storyline, he retcon punched, came back to life, had all kinds of like abilities and stuff like that. The other hand, Jason was very obnoxious, and Winnick had a plan. An editorial gave one. I'm trying to see what he said about this. Purpose is the change. Do you know?
You're familiar with Jason Todd, right?
I'm not.
Explain Jason Todd while I read over this.
Jason Todd was the second Robin.
Okay.
Fans initially hated him because his origin was a carbon copy of the first Robin, Dick Grayson.
Okay.
So what they ended up doing is they killed him off, in the 1980s, and then he was gone for something like 20 years. There was a story called Infinite Crisis, which was designed to fix continuity issues, and they brought him back to life.
Okay.
So not only did he have all of his history with Batman training intact, he was brought. He basically was kind of resurrected in like the pits, the Lazarus pits.
Yes.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Okay.
He was brought back to the Lazarus pits by Talia al Ghul and trained to be one of the
trained
best
with the monks.
assassins.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that whole idea was to they wiped all that away and they brought in the whole thing, right? That was not the New 52 origin, was it?
The New 52 origin was the Talia and the monk situation. So.
Oh no! Then how did he come back after Infinite Crisis?
See, that's where his origin gets muddled and weird. Okay,
Yeah.
So Jason Todd's origin, it wasn't the Lazarus Pit. He came back after Infinite Crisis due to the retcon punch.
Yeah, no, Superboy Prime.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no Lazarus Pit. He just got up.
Superboy Prime. The explanation they had is Superboy Prime was in this paradise dimension, which is basically heaven. He punched his way out and shattered it, and it had ripple effects all throughout the universe that affected things.
Right.
One of which was resurrecting people from the dead.
I think we talked about that in the last video I was in.
Okay.
Right.
It's like your favorite punch in history.
Yes, retcon punch.
So anyway, yes, the original origin for Jason Todd is he was revived by the retcon punch. We don't know much about him. We did learn a little bit in Lost of Days, but the Talia al Ghul and all of that stuff, that's New 52.
So they never really explained how he came back then because of the retcon punch?
No, it was literally the retcon punch.
Yeah, I know, but they didn't offer I know there was Under the Red Hood and stuff like that.
No,
that
they have it in Lost Days. The punch happens and he crawls out of the grave.
Oh.
It's literally from the punch.
Wow. So Superboy Prime punched Jason Todd back to life.
Yes.
Okay. And did he ever? I don't know anything about this. Did he ever have context for that, or did he just kind of climb out of the grave? And was
Just climbed out of the grave.
Here I am.
Yeah.
As far as I know, he never knew that it was
It's
the
like, man,
Superboy Prime.
thanks to the power of Superboy Prime, when most people get punched to death, I was punched to life. This is awesome.
This is amazing.
I'll show you the comic. Where he literally
I never read
gets
Lost
up
Days.
and he just wanders.
Yeah, I never read Lost Days.
He's like a zombie.
Wow.
In the
Interesting.
new
Okay.
52 retconned origin, they kind of, for me, I liked the idea of him just getting up. There was a sense of mystique to that. You know, like you literally just got up. Like I wasn't actually dead.
Going all Undertaker, just I'm alive.
And the New 52, Talia al Ghul brought him back with the Lazarus Pits.
See, I like
sent him
that
to
better.
train.
That seems more reasonable.
It does seem more reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you're a true diehard Red Hood fan, that adds a lot. That gets rid of all the mystique of Red Hood coming back.
Yeah.
Now, I feel that this retcon, being a Red Hood fan, does work better now. Because back in the day, not knowing the full story made more sense. Because he didn't show up all the time. It was just, he's the dead Robin back to life. What the hell?
It does work because you just have like this guy, there's this vigilante, Red Hood, who shows up in Gotham. And Batman's like, who in the hell is this guy? And Red Hood's like, don't worry about who I am. Just know like your days are numbered. And like that's it.
Yeah.
And it was super mysterious, and it's not until later on that you learn it's Jason Todd and all this kind of stuff. But and I do admit that crawling out of the grave, it does fit in with the intrigue. The initial return of Jason Todd and so on, that does work. But
the New 52, now Jason Todd has an ongoing book.
Yeah.
Jason Todd has an ongoing character growth now.
yeah, for the sake of practicality, I think that'll work.
Right, because you can't just 7 years of a comic book and we don't know how he came back.
Yeah, but like, how did Jason Todd came back? I crawled out of the grave. Yeah, but like, I mean, how did you come back out of the grave? I crawled out.
I crawled out of the grave. The reasoning for Jason to train on Lost Days, so when he came back to the grave, he wanted to train on Lost Days, is because he realized that Bruce's way was wrong. That was his whole thing. He trains not to fight evil, but to destroy evil and finally take revenge against Bruce, letting the Joker live after his own death. It's a travel of anger and revenge, and I like that. I do like that he got up, trained with the sense of purpose of what Batman did is wrong. It led to me dying. I don't know how I'm alive, but I'm alive. I've read all the stuff, but it's been a long time. I don't know if he ever learns that it was the retcon punch. I don't think most individuals affected by the retcon punch are aware that that is what did it.
Yeah.
It's just comic books. We're alive now, and here we go.
Yep.
And so the argument is, by giving him the new origin, it's made to serve a point that to turn Jason from anti-hero to hero again, and it doesn't work. It adds to the whole Talia raised him to be a weapon against Batman, and it changes the whole idea.
Yeah, I mean, it is cliche.
Yeah,
but it works. It's practical.
Because the Ra's al Ghul Talia thing is they brought back Jason Todd to use against the Dark Knight, and then he flips from that, becoming the anti-hero that messed with Batman, then became the hero working with Batman.
Yeah,
that was the whole Talia path for it. It's just not as interesting as Jason Todd getting up from the grave and going, "This is why Batman's wrong."
Yeah.
This is why I need to be better and take him down.
Yeah, if Batman had ever stopped the Joker, then he wouldn't have beat me up with a crowbar and blown me up.
Yes.
So,
so I get the argument, but the direction that they've taken him now.
I remember seeing, was that in an animated movie as
yes.
well?
Yes. It's called Death in the Family.
Yes, okay, I have actually seen that clip. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay,
that's
I know something.
Jason Todd. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
this feels good.
Yep.
2 years ago when this came out, I would have 100% agreed with them. Because Red Hood and the Outlaws was out, and it wasn't the greatest ever. It was good, but it wasn't bad.
Red Hood and the Outlaws Rebirth, I disagree.
Yes. Now that we're 7 years in,
I like it.
This makes that whole 7 years better because it all now lines up and makes sense.
Yeah, and it works.
So, what do you think? Do you like the idea of the mystique of Jason Todd coming back to life, and he's just like, yo, Batman's wrong. I got to go stop him. Or do you like the idea that he died, Talia raised him as a weapon to use against Batman, and he broke away from that?
I think I would prefer the Talia storyline more.
Yeah. Knowing that we now have 7 years of stories with him, of Red Hood.
Wait, what?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So,
just go ahead.
No, like what exactly? Which stories do we have 7 years of?
The Talia path, that origin, is the one that's technically still going. Yeah. So we have 7 years of stories built on that one now.
Gotcha.
As opposed to the original one where he just got up.
And we had a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think I prefer the Talia storyline. It makes a little more sense. I don't know, there's just a little more grounded in reality than as far as a comic book.
As grounded as you can be when you're dipped into a pool of liquid that resurrects you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Keep in mind, guys, Gary doesn't know comics that much. Most of the team here we don't hire them because they know comics. Because as I've discovered, when I hire comic fans, they don't want to work.
Yeah,
they want to read the comics.
Yeah, let me get to it here in a second. I really want to.
I'm 100%. I mean, you've dealt with that before.
I've dealt with that before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I mean, you can get to work, or like you can be fired. So I'm paying you to edit videos and write scripts.
Okay, so Retcon change number 9 that everyone disagreed, did not like, and I don't think I liked this one, and they've kind of gone away from it now. So in one of the biggest changes in the New 52 was a complete change on Wonder Woman's origin. She became the daughter of Zeus. She became a god. They changed everything about her around. The original Wonder Woman was clay wished upon life by her mother. That was basically it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Clay molded by Zeus or molded by her mom and then brought to life by Zeus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In the New 52, they tried to completely change her around so that she could stand on her own and be like, this is why she has powers. And they made her like a demigod.
Yeah.
But in the new origin, or the way that they would tell the story is that the Amazons would go outside of Themyscira, every 3 decades to have a big orgy and breed the next generation of Amazons. So they were like rapists and murderers. They would just capture ships and stuff like that.
Okay.
The idea that a warrior race who in every story's purpose is to protect the world is also goes out capturing ships to have babies, kind of.
Well, hey man, like we all got a little bit of dark side in us.
That's pretty dark.
That is really
That's
dark. Honestly, I was always neutral about the origin of Wonder Woman. I never really cared about the origin of Wonder Woman so much as I cared about stories like Hikatea. Do you ever read a story called Hikatea?
No.
It's a vow basically, meaning if somebody comes to you, like this girl goes to Wonder Woman and says, you have to help me and I, ingratiate myself towards you or whatever. Wonder Woman has to take her in, but she can't mistreat her. She has to treat her like an equal. So she has to feed her and clothe her and so on and so forth. And this person is basically your servant and it runs until the vow is satisfied. Well, this girl had escaped Gotham after killing some people who had basically killed her sister. And Batman's tracking her down. So Batman shows up on the doorstep of Wonder Woman and says, you have to defy this vow and hand this girl over to me. And Wonder Woman kicks his ass. It's amazing.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, she beats the hell out of him. But
yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that.
Okay.
I do, and I know I'm in the small minority on this one. I was not a big Wonder Woman fan before the New 52.
Oh, I know. Really before Rebirth.
Brian Azzarello, other than a few things that I like that, where I'm like, you can't have a warrior race whose purpose is to protect everyone. Oh, but by the way, they kill a bunch of dudes and just rape them and... You can't mix and match
it's
what you're
too
doing.
Contradictory.
Right, but I did like the eventuality that she was a demigod and she fought against the firstborn and she had to find Zeus. I liked that plot. I really enjoyed that one. It's one of my favorite Wonder Woman stories.
Yeah.
So I'm a little tossed up on the New 52 change there.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been I never really cared about her origin. I was always more concerned about like the cool stuff she did when she is Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because her origin was always lame.
Yeah.
And even though she's the demigod of Zeus, like, there's not much more to that. Okay, so instead of being made out of clay, people had the funsies for me. Like, I'm trying to keep it family friendly.
The funsies. They touch naughty bits. I don't know.
We are never going to make this family friendly. All right, number 8 on our list is the change of what was the original? It's the Justice League International change. This didn't mean anything to me when this happened.
Yeah, I don't.
So there's a book, The Brightest Day, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, Justice League Generation Lost brought back Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord then wiped out. So Maxwell Lord killed a bunch of people, and they killed him off. It was like a big moment. Wonder Woman killed him because they couldn't stop him.
Yeah,
his ability was to mind control, and he had control of Superman. So the only way to stop him was to kill him.
That fight was so cool, man, dude. Wonder Woman beat on Superman like a side of beef.
Yeah.
Knocked him out and then broke the neck of Maxwell Lord. It was pretty hardcore.
So once Brightest Day came back, it brought back to life Maxwell Lord. And in that, they had a select number of people, including Booster Gold and Batman. Who else is on this team? Fire and Ice. No one ever knows who they are.
Nobody ever cares.
And Captain Atom.
Fire
so Batman and Booster Gold and buddies.
Batman and the others.
Anyway, this group actually had a great storyline. It's revered as one of the best storylines because these are the people that remembered Maxwell Lord existed.
Yeah.
He managed to wipe everyone's memory except theirs, so they went on a journey to stop him. And one of the best character development moments for Booster Gold came out of that 6 years of him building up to be a serious fighter, finally get his revenge against Maxwell Lord for the Ted Kord situation, that kind of a situation. Maxwell Lord killed Ted Kord, Booster Gold's best friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shot him in the head.
Are you still following me here?
I think so.
Okay. When they took that team and they made them Justice League International, and they just neglected everything. The story led nowhere. They rebooted it basically. Booster Gold was just a smirky guy that had no character development anymore.
Hold on. Okay. Which jail Justice League International are we talking about?
This is the New 52 #1 initial launch.
Where they just kind of ignored everything.
Yes.
Okay. I know Justice League International. Yeah, I know. Like they're well, it was. I guess it was kind of Justice League International, also kind of like Justice League Europe. Yeah, I know that they had the whole idea of going after Maxwell Lord.
Yeah.
But
they pretty much got rid of all the character development that everyone had gained going in this direction.
Yeah.
Because half of that stuff got wiped out of history.
Yeah, I really had no interest in the Brightest Day Generation Lost story. It wasn't really.
It wasn't bad. I mean, a lot of people really love it.
Yeah.
But
I never really got into it.
Okay, number 7 on this list. So what do we got? We got the Justice League International. We kind of go, we're impartial to that one. Yeah. The Wonder Woman one, I agree with. I don't think that retcon was very good. The Jason Todd one, I think in the long run has paid off.
Yeah.
At the time, yes, I agree. It was a crappy idea.
Yeah. But I think it's proved to be a better decision.
Yeah, it's proved in the long run. Because it's the exact same people going, do you think they'll bring back Superboy Prime? I'm like, you can't. There would be so much explanation.
I mean, he's probably floating out there somewhere. But we also know, just by virtue of like Super Sons of Tomorrow, that like Infinite Crisis happened and Sinestro Corps War happened.
If they brought back Superboy Prime at this point, I don't think they would explain anything. I think they would just go multiverse version of Superman that's evil, and that's where we would leave it.
Honestly, if Superboy Prime comes back, I think it'd be a pretty big deal.
Well, I'm saying like they wouldn't go into any of the history behind it. They would just leave it be and call it good.
I don't know where you go because they drove him into the ground.
Yeah,
it was kind of nuts. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one on this list is Green Arrow's Guilt Trip. What does he got for this one? Green Arrow is just like the Justice League International, one of those properties that got the treatment to a 100% reboot. The result was left a lot to be desired, and personally, I detest the character. That's this person. He seems to have lost every single thing that made him interesting in the first place, and for me, the worst part was his new origin. Okay. I know what he's talking about here.
You're talking about Connor Hawk?
No. When Green Arrow hit the New 52, he was completely reinvented. No family, no love, no backstory. He was just now like a 20-something guy who had money and wanted to run around with arrows.
Yeah.
When the New 52 started, I decided to give Green Arrow a shot. And I liked this story. But, when I finally read the old Green Arrow stuff, oh my God, did they butcher him.
The Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino Green Arrow? Stupid.
No, that's New 52 still.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Well, then we're talking previous with the goatee,
like
Connor Hawk,
Hunters, Mike Grell.
Yes, Longbow Hunters, the Green Lantern, Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, if I had read this 2 years ago, I would have been like, dude, shut up. Green Arrow's fine. I still think that this guy was okay, but it's the same argument I have with the New 52 Superman. It wasn't the same guy anymore.
I love the New 52 Green Arrow. I liked him more than the old Green Arrow.
I see what was lost now, though. You know what I mean? I can see the argument. You know, which actually leads us to the next thing on this list, the Lobo for New 52. So,
Lobo?
when you think Lobo, what do you think?
Lobo. I don't know what that means.
Describe what you think Lobo looks like. Or just show
Does that
him.
recognize it all to you? Lobo?
Nope.
Lobo
got nothing.
Lobo was a 1988 answer, 1985, 1983. Anyway, he was Marvel or DC's answer to Wolverine from Marvel Comics. Over the top, ridiculous.
So they name him Lobo.
They name him Lobo. But the cool thing about it is that he is a guy that can easily go toe-to-toe with Superman.
Okay.
Like, they fought to a standstill. Sometimes Lobo's won. So, I mean, it's kind of depends on the circumstance. But he's really powerful. Okay. And he rides a motorcycle that looks badass.
Yes. Yeah. So this is referencing, he's actually not even referencing the one that I'm going to talk about in a second. So I'm going to add to this one.
He's not referencing the
He's referencing the original appearance of Lobo in the New 52. Which most people forget actually happened, that the original, that Lobo did show up. He was in Deathstroke. He popped up. Deathstroke, without a doubt, worst DC can offer. The story itself is very confusing and seems to be made a bunch of entangled ideas that don't connect really anyway. Lobo was captured 4 years on Earth and then got free, and his first idea was to look after the guy who locked him up. Instead, he blows up the bomb to destroy the entire planet. Two aren't the same. Last Caesarian. Either way, he shows up briefly. The original Lobo. Okay? Then DC decided he needs a reinvention.
Yeah.
So Lobo, I'm going to show you the two differences.
Yeah, he was in sync Lobo.
He was Pretty Boy Lobo.
Yeah, Pretty Boy. He was
Frosted
Boy
Frosted
Lobo.
Tips and all
Frosted
that.
Tips.
I consider New 52 Lobo, New 52 Superman, and New 52 Green Arrow great characters. I think all three of them should not have been who they were called. Superman's the only one that I would give the pass to because they were building up a new generation of Superman, but it took him way too long to become the Superman of hope.
And the stories kind of dropped off.
Yeah, exactly. The Green Arrow and the Lobo, they were so different from their original counterparts. They were new characters. And that's the problem with those. If you read them on their own, you're like, oh no, this is bad. Why are people complaining? So that's Lobo in DC.
Okay.
And that's the Lobo they brought out. They reinvented him to look like that. And Dylan will have both these on the screen right now.
Downgrade.
Yeah.
So instead of being this
pretty bad
parody of 90s comics, this guy who rides his Harley, this guy who's just rude, causing problems, smoking a cigar, we got the last Caesarian, who was moody, emo, looked like this. Now, I read that Lobo. That Lobo was a good story written by Cullen Bunn. The whole story was good. In no point did I ever feel like I was reading Lobo. He should have 100% have been named something else in its entirety. He was a unique character created by Cullen Bunn, and they told an amazing story of his adventures in space. But there was a whole story arc where he hunts down the ring bearers.
Really?
Yes. He was a badass. He was great.
Right.
But he wasn't Lobo.
But he's not Lobo.
Yeah.
And that's my exact argument with Green Arrow. Green Arrow New 52 is great, but he is not the Green Arrow that everyone has grown to love and know. He's not even a version of him somewhere in the timeline. It's not like Batman where they just took 10 years away and it's like, oh, he's still Batman.
Well, originally 5 years, but yeah.
But you know what I mean, though. Yeah. You know, or even Superman, where you're just like, well, he just became Superman, so he could become the Superman we know and love. Green Arrow was like, this is just a totally different character. And Lobo, totally different character. Why even name them that?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's almost the exact problem that Marvel has had recently where they just swap out the character. The difference is Marvel does it in story and they try to line it up. DC was literally like, no, that is Lobo now.
I mean, yeah. If you're adverse to change, I could definitely see people getting angry over that. You know, getting irritated.
You love to go with that argument. Rob, not all change is good.
Right.
Yeah, but if you don't even give that change a chance in the first place,
we've given a lot of that change good. We've given a lot of that change a chance. I read all of the New 52 Lobo and Green Arrow.
Yeah, that got.
They are great stories, but they shouldn't have been called Green Arrow and Lobo. That's the only argument I have with that one.
Right.
I guess.
There's a point at which the character is just not that character anymore.
Right. It's just not.
It's just not that. I mean, they have the name, but that's all.
So okay, then seriously, let me ask you this: like, at what point do characters like progress and grow? I mean, for example, like people can make the argument, well, Green Arrow is not Green Arrow if he has a son. Green Arrow is just supposed to be running around with like Speedy or
And you're right, they can make that argument. But a character like Green Arrow grew with Black Canary, grew the Sun. The character's developed into this direction. Same thing as Superman getting filled with hope. He grew into that direction, became that character, and then they just said, no, now he's a new guy with no hope, and he's not with Lois, and he doesn't know what he's doing.
So then the idea is just read about the same character you've always been reading, and they just don't change.
No, I'm not.
Because that's the argument that's being made here. That's what's being presented here.
No.
How is that not the case?
No, I think I'm with Benny on this one. Like
you can reboot a character and do it right.
Yes.
But you can't reboot a character and not make them the character.
Right.
That's the difference. Lobo is the best example because Lobo was not snarky, was not full of humor, was not what you were looking for. You could reinvent the look of him. You could reinvent his place in the history. You can reinvent how he handles things. Yeah. But if he's not the character at all, why is he Lobo?
Well, I mean, I agree. I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know.
What I'm saying is they're a comic book character. They're whatever I want them to be.
Mm-hmm. They are
Superman, in 2011, Superman, like the way you read, that's Superman now. That's how he.
Oh no!
This is like I'm going to argue this.
Oh no, you're fine.
That's like taking Superman, Clark Kent, giving him a different costume, a totally different look, a different backstory, a different attitude, different personality, different location, and then claiming it's still Superman somehow.
It is still Superman,
but it's not.
How is it not Superman?
If he's no longer like Kryptonian, I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
But if you change, at what point it's like, replacing parts on a car. If you replace everything and every part you replace looks different from the original, operates differently from the original, is it still the same car? It's not now because you've replaced everything.
Yeah.
It's all different.
That is a great analogy.
Really good
I like that analogy a lot.
It's not the same car
anymore. I'm going to start using that analogy now.
Yeah. You can change half of it. A great example, again, because I know you love to argue for Riri. Yeah. That is a great change. Like that was an attempt. Change can be good, can be bad. Yeah. But Tony Stark wasn't removed. They didn't look at you and go, Riri is Iron Man. She is Tony Stark. We're reinventing her in its entirety. That was a change, which got a lot of backlash, but it was a change in a right direction where they tried new stuff. To completely reinvent the character in your analogy, to take everything that makes them the character and put it back together as something completely different and rename it, that's not the same character.
Right. Yeah, if they had, if Tony Stark was now someone, was just a totally different race, and had a totally different look, that I could see if you actually changed Tony Stark.
Yeah,
that I could see being.
You need to retain enough of the original character that someone can come by and say, "Oh, that's Lobo," or "Hey, that's Tony Stark."
Right.
I can recognize.
Okay, but that's true. But the question is, are you? And this was the great experiment of the New 52. Are you trying to create content for people to just read what they've already read, or are you trying to bring in a new generation of readers? Yeah. And that's what they were trying to do, was bring in new people.
I agree. Yeah. The motivation is fine, but I think the execution, from what I can tell, is a little off.
Yeah, that was the issue that they had. Well, in some ways, the execution, for Batman, for example, was really good. Mm-hmm. But for some other things, for example, Martian Manhunter, people were just kind of it's whatever. And with those kind of changes here and there, people ended up taking this stance, like Shazam, for example, Captain Marvel, had a backup feature in Justice League. There were changes that were made here and there, and at the end of the day, it kind of turned people off, or it just didn't really seem recognizable. Right. I mean, Green Arrow's Green Arrow. As long as the name is Oliver Queen, doesn't really matter, but some folks didn't necessarily see it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same argument I have with a lot of the changes we've seen recently over the last 5 years in comics. If it handled correctly, it gets well received. Like the argument that I've always made against Riri is just she wasn't introduced well. I've never said it's not good.
I always thought she was introduced fine.
I don't want to get into that. Yeah. We've had that argument on 1,000 podcasts at this point. Right. But I'm just saying it's all about that execution, how it was brought in. Yeah. The Lobo, the way that DC handled it almost was a slap in the face of the Lobo fans. It was like, here's Lobo. Oh, but we're going to reinvent him for a new generation, so it's completely not your Lobo. But Lobo himself was a 90s parody. He wasn't really a character unto his own. He was a 90s parody of action heroes put into a comic.
Right.
That's what Lobo is.
Yeah, but he developed it was a small but devoted following for Lobo. Yeah, it was pretty insane.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing is when it comes to stuff like that, it's usually just a matter of personal preference. With like reworking characters,
most things, sure,
or introducing those characters. I'm fine with how they're introduced so long as I agree with how they're introduced.
Yeah.
Different things like that.
And Green Arrow now, with the 7 years that we've had, has grown into a great character. He's becoming the Green Arrow that we all know. Right. Are you still reading it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what he is now, is the Green Arrow. He's as close as we've gotten to the Green Arrow that Longbow Hunters and the old stuff.
Yeah, I like Hard Traveling Hero.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That like even you were like, yes, I liked the New 52, but I kind of like where we're going with Green Arrow.
Yeah,
I like what's happening.
I mean, I recognize there are things that are missing, like the idea that Green Arrow and Dinah, that Black Canary had a kid, Connor Hawke, and like he died.
Yeah.
You know, like the idea that like Black Canary was kidnapped by gangsters and like victimized.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of huge aspects to his character's publication history that of course did lead him to evolve and grow. But you know, in my mind, the idea was, okay, so like let's just rework him. Let's just totally reboot it and start it new. Because I mean, like, you know,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it works. I mean, it worked with Batman.
It does. Yeah. No, I mean, some reboots have completely worked in their entirety.
Yeah.
You know, even some of the Marvel stuff that they've done, I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And you know, they've changed things, they've rebooted things, they've tried new things. So, but let's keep going. Otherwise, we're going to be on this topic forever because I think this is almost an episode in itself.
Yeah.
You know. Helena Bertinelli is dead. This one didn't matter because it got changed later.
Yeah.
So the Huntress character was dead in the New 52 when it started. Mm-hmm. The other character, Helena Wayne, she came in from the Earth 2. We discovered that Helena Bertinelli was dead. Helena Bertinelli, as we discovered, wasn't actually dead. She was actually an undercover agent working for Spiral.
Yeah, I did not like that whole idea.
Still a weird decision
call.
to go with her. But she did eventually become Huntress in Rebirth.
I feel like it was like when somebody was like, yeah, but like I really, really want to bring her back. It's like, okay, look, man, I don't care how you do it, but you can't bring her back in Batman. It's like Spiral, you know, it's the spy agency that Dick Grayson's working for. It was that's the kind of change that a lot of people don't like. Mm-hmm. Like where it's just kind of shoehorned.
Yeah.
You know, like because it almost kind of comes in like lazy.
Change. Yeah,
it just comes in as being lazy, you know, and that kind of a thing. But
it's very gimmicky storytelling.
Yeah,
absolutely,
that kind of a thing. But it is cool because like Earth 2, for example, brought back characters like Power Girl, and like okay, so Power Girl. So all right, see if you can wrap your head around this weirdness. All right, 1930s, 1940s, superheroes are introduced for the first time.
Right.
All right. In 1956, Barry Allen is introduced as the Flash.
Okay.
And that's important because in the 1940s, you had the Flash Jay Garrick. And people said, well, what happened to Jay Garrick? Why isn't he the Flash anymore? Oh. And DC said, okay, so the way it works is every story that you see where the Barry Allen Flash is fighting alongside superheroes, that's Earth 1. Okay. All the stories where you see Jay Garrick fighting alongside superheroes is Earth 2.
Which is where we're at in the series. My wife and I have just started The Flash, and we're finally on season 2.
Okay.
And we just met Jay Garrick.
Okay.
And it's that's my that's my education. movies and TV shows and things like that, and some of the cartoons. So,
well, the issue is there was no hard stop.
Okay.
It wasn't like 1956 Barry Allen was introduced and there was rebranding and it's like the Earth 1 line of stories. Right. It was just kind of DC shoehorning in an explanation on why the Flash was different now. Okay. Like that's how that whole thing fits in. But no, it's like that kind of change is cool and that kind of change is interesting. And I have no idea where I was going with that. I totally forgot what direction I was going in.
Rob does that occasionally.
Yeah. But it does serve the purpose of like working and introducing things that do make. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Earth 2. So
yes, Earth 2.
That's where I was going with that.
Okay,
this happens.
So in the universe where Jay Garrick was the Flash, Supergirl was called Power Girl.
Oh, okay.
That's that idea.
Okay.
But that's why I provided that explanation of context.
Okay,
so you know where it comes from.
She was Supergirl. She became Power Girl when she came to the main Marvel universe. Yeah, that makes total sense.
No, she was well, okay, she was Power Girl. I mean,
she was Supergirl. When she came to the normal one, that's how they retcon.
Yeah, I know that. What I'm saying is if I say she's Supergirl, and then he looks up Supergirl, he's going to find Kara Zor-El.
Oh,
he's not going to find Earth 2 Supergirl.
Right, so. In this day and age, in the internet, you look up Power Girl, you'll find that one, even though she was called Supergirl.
Okay, so Supergirl was Earth 2.
Well, there's Supergirl.
There's two of them.
Oh, okay. So the idea was that originally it was just Superman who was the only one to survive.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Eventually, we found out later on that his cousin or something like that survived.
I do know that. Yes. Okay.
Well, Kara Zor-El is technically older than he is, but she was floating out in space while he arrived on Earth. So he aged and she didn't. So eventually she shows up. The origin story for her character is for the most part the same. The difference is that on Earth 2 she was Supergirl who was older more or less, and then on Earth 1 she's younger.
Oh, okay.
So that's why when she crossed over into Earth 2 or into Earth 1, she became Power Girl.
Okay.
So that DC could differentiate between the two characters.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Say they're distinctly different.
Okay.
But yeah, you understand why comics are so weird and confusing sometimes. It's mind-boggling in terms of how they make it work. If you've read enough history of it, then like Crisis on Infinite Earths makes sense, Infinite Crisis makes sense, Final Crisis makes sense. I grasp it perfectly.
Yeah.
If you just now stick your foot in the door of the comics
and
industry,
on top of that, you have 70+ years of history to understand here. I mean, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
So okay, we're gonna keep moving here.
Okay.
I can tell this guy was a Red Hood fan as I am, because the next one's another Red Hood thing.
Really?
Yeah. The retcon to Jason's origin. Now, this one I agree with. When you think Jason Todd as Robin.
Is it the one where he jacked the wheels from the Batmobile?
No, that's the right origin.
Okay.
So
Bruce Wayne comes across a kid trying to like jacking the wheels off the Batmobile.
And he does it, right?
Yeah, he
he's
steals one.
He
Batman catches him when he comes back for another wheel.
Another wheel.
Okay. Yes.
It was amazing.
I remember that. Yeah.
He's like, the greed is what got you, kid.
Right. Which basically you're like this. That would make sense why Batman would want to teach this kid, right?
Yeah.
They did. I don't even think this gets referenced anymore. I think they just have brought it back to the wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The New 52 basically said Batman caught this kid selling drugs.
No, okay, they retcon that because they.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got rid of that.
They make a joke in one. I think it's one of the new Batman stories. No, it's the Rules of Engagement story in Detective Comics. And they make a joke about how Jason Todd successfully stole one of the Batwheels.
Okay, so they did go back. Okay, because I'm pretty sure.
I like that more. Huh? Yeah, I like that more.
Yeah, well, because he steals the tires. Oh, well, yeah, this kid managed to get around all of the Batmobile's guards.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the actual thing is like, it was like he had just taken down one of the guards and another one was coming up, like the programming.
Yeah.
It was like between two things. It was just convenient.
And can we just say that? Imagine, because I want you to like the story is hilarious.
Yes.
It's just
I'm laughing inside my head.
Yeah, like a kid uses like and just like takes and it's just like rolling the Batwheel.
I'm thinking of him going somewhere to sell it.
Yeah.
What have you done? I stole Batman's tire.
Yeah, so I stole one tire for the Batmobile.
So yeah, the New 52 though then said Batman just found a kid selling drugs.
Oh, okay. Yes,
and that defeats the whole purpose.
It's boring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, but
it's not iconic. I wouldn't make a drug dealing kid my Robin. Like that makes no sense.
How many kids are selling drugs in Gotham City, Batman? You gonna make them all Robin? Is that how we got We Are Robin? Is all the kids are drug dealers? No, I do like the idea of a kid just being ingenuitive enough to jack
he's clever.
the wheels.
You want to,
well, because that's the thing. All the different Robins are in some way interesting or unique. The only exception is Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson was just a kid who's lost his parents in the same way Batman did. Whatever.
Right.
They were a victim of crime. But like Tim Drake, for example, Tim Drake figured out the identities of Batman and Dick Grayson. He just put two and two together, and he was like, so, like your parents die in a trapeze accident, and then Bruce Wayne adopts you. Coincidentally, around that time, like suddenly Batman has a Robin. Well, it's not hard to figure out what your identities are. And like Tim Drake, I mean, right now, they say Tim Drake is the best detective just below Bruce Wayne.
No, they've said he's better.
Oh, he's better?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought he was like just below Bruce Wayne.
No, he's supposed to be smarter than Bruce Wayne on most of the aspects.
Well, I know they do.
It depends on which story you look at.
Well, I know they talked about that with the whole thing of Super Sons of Tomorrow. They're like, I become a better detective than Bruce Wayne ever was. But like Damian Wayne is a biological son of Bruce Wayne, and he was trained to be an assassin, and Bruce has to teach him people skills and stop making him socially awkward. It's that kind of a thing. Like, but then like you have Jason Todd sells drugs. Like, that's not interesting.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah. No,
but Jason Todd stole the Batmobile wheels. That's
that's a story, man.
Okay, so we can move forward here. He put one of the many changes to the original Killing Joke story. So the original Killing Joke story, is Barbara Gordon. So the Joker shows up, finds out where James Gordon lives.
Yeah.
He kicks in the door, or I think he just knocks on the door.
Knocks on the door.
Knocks on the door. Barbara Gordon opens up the door. Joker shoots her through the stomach, paralyzing her.
Okay.
She's Batgirl, but he doesn't know that. He just shot James Gordon's daughter. He then forced James Gordon to watch, who's in the office, as he took pictures. There's theories that he violated, but either way, inappropriate pictures of his daughter. You could go any way you want with that. Depends on who you talk to. Yeah. There's a lot of theories that come out of this story. It's one of the most classic Batman stories.
It's a dark story.
Yeah. And the idea is they then take James Gordon and they force him to look at these pictures and see what they did to his daughter.
Oh, no, they put him on an amusement ride.
Yeah.
They put him on an amusement ride and send him through this ride naked. And he has to, he keeps having these images pop up of Barbara Gordon being, victimized. It's screwed up.
Right. So the whole plot is that he's trying to prove that one bad day can turn someone twisted like he is. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. Mm-hmm. One of the many retcons, and I disagree with every single one of these for the Killing Joke, but one of the many retcons that came out of the Killing Joke is Gordon wasn't in the house.
Yeah.
So Joker kicks it in, shoots Barbara Gordon, and then just leaves her to die.
Yeah.
So instead of this whole thing being she's been victimized to show her like to James Gordon, the whole point, the whole idea in that now Batgirl has to learn how she's going to live with her paralyzation and all this other stuff. She's just left there to die. She's just like killed her, done, and that's it. It moves on. And the reason she survived is one of Joker's henchmen called the police to get her. And then Gordon found out about it later. Which...
It takes away the entire significance of the story.
Yeah. Right.
That is one of the things that I do not like.
And on top of all of that, it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
There's no need for it.
Right.
I mean, it is nitpicky.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, it is nitpicky. But it does go towards like a handful of different things. One, the explanation for how it was that she was saved is already built in there. You got Jim Gordon. You also have it is interesting because what it did is it made the story personal for Jim Gordon, and it gave the story significance. Jim Gordon, the father, is like has to watch his daughter get shot and then victimized, and then has to relive it on a roller coaster from hell. And it's all because the Joker wants to show all it takes is one bad day, because the Joker had one bad day and he became Joker. So and that's the whole significance of it. It's significance because it's personal for Jim Gordon. And it matters because when Jim Gordon tells Batman, like when Batman goes in to get the Joker and Jim Gordon says it has to be by the book, he's not doing it because he's a cop. And like every ounce of him wants to say like, just kill the guy and be done with it.
Right.
Because of what he did. But it's like, no, it has to be by the book. If we arrest him, he's got to go to jail forever. That kind of a thing. Okay. Like it's, and that's why that kind of thing matters. But when Jim Gordon's not there, then it's not as personal. I mean, it's personal insofar as it's his daughter, but it's not as personal as the original because he wasn't there to be forced to witness all of it. So it's, that's one of the small things that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Another kind of minor one, but like I know Natalie hated this one. They retconned Catwoman's origin to be so that it matched the movie that everyone knows. Her original origin, she's an orphan from the street. She made her way.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing.
Right.
I feel like that gives more to her character than Magical Cat's Lictor.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention it matched the origin of a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure DC regretted that one. Like
Magical Cat's Lictor.
Why did
and
we
she
get
got
horse to that
cat powers.
Yeah.
But instead, she's just a cat burglar who likes cats. Like, I like that one a lot better.
That one is a lot more tangible.
Than she should be dead, but the cats licked her.
Magical cat powers.
That one was one of the worst origin retconnings ever. Like, why?
Yeah.
What was the point?
Bringing it more
because it's not like
movie.
Catwoman had cat powers, and then New 52, like she never had powers.
Oh, she had 9 lives. She had 9 lives.
But you know what I mean? Like, why?
Yeah.
It just made no sense. And the number one, and this one I agree with. I do agree with this because I was reading this beforehand. I knew the character. Tim Drake was one of my favorites, other than Damian. Tim Drake was never Robin.
Yeah.
So here's the way it goes. When Tim Drake was Robin for Batman, he was Robin for like 15, 20.
For a long time.
Really long time.
He competed with Dick Grayson. He was second. Dick Grayson was like 45 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Tim Drake is just under that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He eventually earned, like Dick Grayson became Nightwing. So when they needed to put Damian in the role of Robin, Tim Drake became Red Robin. That was his earned title.
Dick Grayson became Nightwing. Tim Drake figured out their identities and tried to get Dick. Oh no, that's right. It was okay. It was a cool moment. So
I'm confused. Where are you going with this?
Dick Grayson becomes Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing. Batman's like, I need a new Robin. He adopts Jason Todd. Jason Todd dies.
Yes.
Batman loses it, becomes more violent. Tim Drake goes to Dick Grayson and is like, look, I know your identities. I know that you were Robin. I know Bruce Wayne is Batman. I know that you were Robin at one point. You have to go back to being Robin because somebody's got to keep Batman grounded.
Yes.
And Dick Grayson's answer is no, you should become Robin. So they make Tim Drake Robin. That's how that happened.
Yeah.
So,
and then he becomes Robin for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And so then when it was time to kind of let him move on, he became Red Robin.
Yes.
In the New 52, they compressed the time period at which everyone was a Robin into 5 years.
5 years.
They were like, Batman has still had 4 Robins, but it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
So
they sign a contract when they become Robin?
To go for 1 year.
A 1 year contract?
1 year contract.
Yeah.
So in order to slightly rectify it, they decided that, Tim Drake never became Robin.
Which blows open everything about Teen Titans.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you explain that.
Yeah.
Robin,
Young Justice.
Instead, Tim Drake was so smart, he became Red Robin. He was beyond the title of a sidekick.
Yeah.
But the problem is, now Tim Drake hasn't earned Red Robin. He's just a cocky kid who decided he can be a Red Robin.
Okay.
Better than a Robin.
Yeah. Yeah, fans were not, they were none too pleased about that.
And the worst part about it is it didn't line up.
Yeah.
So so in his books and stuff, he was Red Robin. He was never Robin. but he was. So like in
But he
Scott
was.
Snyder's book, when it
Right.
would pop up, they like to give you who everyone was, and it would say former Robin, Red Robin. You're like,
Yeah, and plus there was a lot
doesn't
of
work.
there was a lot of history there. Like back in the late '90s, writer Dan Jurgens wanted to bring Tim Drake into the Teen Titans, but then the editors for Batman were like, no, because we don't want him in books about like magic and space and shit. Like we want him in like Batman books where Batman beats guys like Doomsday. No, I don't know, but he fights crazy
That would've been
stuff.
cool.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
And so what they ended up doing is they grabbed Tim Drake, they grabbed Connor Kent, who was a clone of Superman, and they grabbed who was the third guy? Impulse, who was the grandson of Barry Allen from the future.
Bart
And
Allen,
they Bart Allen, yeah. And they threw him on a team called Young Justice. And it sold like gangbusters, and people loved it. But that was all predicated on Tim Drake having been Robin. You know, having been the Robin character. And
Right.
people who were watching the Teen Titans show came to that show from Tim Drake having been Robin.
Yeah.
You know? And it was all that history with him playing the role of Robin. And to get all that wiped out drove a lot of fans up the wall.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
hated that. It was
Yeah.
it pissed them off so bad.
So those are, as this list listed, 10 of the worst retcons. I agree with most of them.
Yeah.
Some of them have panned out in the end. DC has rectified them.
Yeah.
I like the Red Hood, where it went. Catwoman's been fixed. I don't think that's her origin anymore. I think they've gone back to. I think now it's just a weird night where she got licked by a bunch of cats. But no, everything else
No, I
lined
think,
up.
yeah, they covered that in the rooftops.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
thing,
So I'm
yeah.
pretty sure they've kind of retconned it back. So
Okay.
I mean, the way that weird cat thing works, you could easily keep it in there. Just one night she fell out a window and cats licked her. Whatever.
I mean, we're in a world where, people can control minds, and you got a Martian who can shapeshift, and you got a Kryptonian, and you got these rings that give you powers.
Yep.
It's not that far out of the reason,
Right.
for magic cats to lick a chick.
It's not the coolest personal origin story if someone said, "How did you become who you are today?" And all these other characters have these incredible origin stories, and she's like, "Cats licked me."
Yeah.
and now I'm a burglar.
And then, and it's just this awkward moment amongst everyone in the room.
Yeah. it's
And I can
That's
just see
cool.
someone being like,
"That's cool."
So did that give you powers? Is that why you're a burglar?
That's like a mom response.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's nice.
Well, that's nice. Exactly.
That's nice, dear.
That's nice.
The Jason Todd one we already mentioned already got fixed. They
Yeah.
fixed that in Rebirth. The Tim Drake one has been fixed. Not truly. They had a moment where he's now Robin again. So they made him Robin again, and the wording was Batman was like, "Well, I've always considered you Robin. I've never
Yeah.
considered you Red Robin."
Yeah, fans are like, just give us a damn origin story that makes it work. Shit. Like, I'm tired of this.
So that's how they kind of rectified that one. They're like, "We're not going to get rid of it,
Yeah.
but we'll just say Batman always called him Robin."
Well, I mean, I know for a fact there are fans of Red Robin.
Oh
They
yeah,
did
no,
like
well,
Tim Drake
it's
as
of
well.
Tim Drake in general.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah. They did enjoy that whole thing. So.
But yeah, I mean, I think New 52 had a rocky restart. There were some pretty bad moments in it, but overall, I think because I think the worst part about DC's New 52 was it crapped on a lot of what fans wanted, like Green Arrow, Lobo, Jason Todd getting a weird revamp that didn't make sense. A lot of it is panned out now thanks to Rebirth. But there was a weird period after 3 years of New 52 before we went to Rebirth, which was 2 years later, where it seemed like DC was just spinning its wheels. Like, we know you don't like some of this stuff, and we know it's not selling, but we're not really going to fix it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I mean, that's the point of Rebirth, though, is to take what people liked versus what they like now and mix them together.
Yeah.
Publishing wise, that's the idea. In continuity wise, Manhattan just everything, and that's just yeah.
I like that they put it all in continuity, though.
Yeah.
So basically what DC did was all this stuff. So here's the excuse. Let me just see if you say. So it was well known a lot of these New 52 retcons were not well received.
Okay.
So they were like, okay, so here's the story. Those things, that is actually on purpose. All those bad things that happened, Dr. Manhattan must have done it. Somebody removed timelines. He took away 10 years of people's lives, which messed everything up.
Yeah, so they believe that they were new for the first time.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. I don't know.
So they put an in continuity reason why things were messy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Which fixed a
weird.
lot of it. There you go.
Yeah. I mean,
There you go.
what we're waiting, because we're still kind of in this point where we're like, okay, So like, how does it all tie together? Like that's kind of
Okay.
the transition period we're in right now.
Like-
What we're waiting for is something in Doomsday Clock or some great big huge event, and it all settles down, and it's like, okay, guys, so like, here's how everything resides.
Yes.
And here's all the answers.
They could still ruin it. We could get to the end of Rebirth, and they're like, and none of it makes sense still. And you're like, God damn it!
It wasn't Dr. Manhattan. It was just kind of the way it is.
So, all right, let's wrap up here because I'm getting hungry and I need some
I'm
barbecue.
hungry too.
And this went longer than expected. Thank you for joining us, Gary.
Yes,
I assume if we drag you in
welcome.
for more Gary cams, eventually you'll just get very talkative. You'll be involved.
Yeah, I'll know more.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, you'll learn more. Yeah.
There we go.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments down below if you enjoy RnBEG.
Yeah. If you really want to have your mind blown about comics, ask Benny to explain to you the plot of Final Crisis.
Benny, explain the plot of Final Crisis.
Explain the
That
plot
is
of Final-
another hour-long episode.
You have to explain it in 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
Okay, so
hold on. Where's that? You got
You gonna give me a timer?
Yeah, we got
a timer going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. So these old gods arrived on the planet Earth to get a thing called the anti-life equation. The anti-life equation would give the character Darkseid the ability to control everyone because it wipes out their free will. But he eventually does it, and all of the planet Earth is gone. So Batman takes a bullet and he shoots it at Darkseid as Omega Beams are hitting him, killing off Batman. And then something weird happens, and Superman has to go to like another plane of existence in the future where he learns by watching at a microscopic level some kind of a machine that tells him, it's like a wish machine that tells
Time's
him
up.
how to sing to Darkseid and
That
kill
was-
him.
There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's all I have left.
There
Wow.
you go.
You know what? Your lunch is on me. You were able to pull that off.
All right,
I'll
guys.
buy your lunch today.
We'll talk-
you don't get your lunch paid for.
Because it got
No,
glued.
I'll buy you one.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next time right here. Don't forget, Comics Explained, Comicstorian, next week right here, RnBE.